You've probably been told your whole life that being nice is a virtue. Be kind, be polite, be understanding, don't hurt people's feelings, don't be difficult. So you learn to smile even when you are uncomfortable. You learn to say yes even when you wanted to say no. You learn to swallow your frustration to keep the peace. And for a while, it felt right. It felt mature. It felt selfless. But slowly, something inside you started to feel heavy, drained, invisible. What if being too nice isn't kindness, but quiet self-abandonment? Being kind and being too nice are not the same thing. Kindness comes from strength. It is intentional and balanced. But being too nice often comes from fear. Fear of rejection, fear of conflict, fear of disappointing people. When niceness becomes a survival strategy instead of a value, it starts costing you pieces of yourself. Are you kind because you want to be, or because you're afraid not to be? People who are too nice often struggle with boundaries. They tolerate disrespect longer than they should. They give second chances repeatedly. They over-explain themselves to avoid being misunderstood. They absorb other people's emotions, and in the process, they slowly disconnect from their own needs. You start prioritizing everyone else's comfort over your own truth. When was the last time you chose your comfort first? At first, people appreciate your flexibility, your patience, your willingness to compromise. But over time, something subtle happens. The more you give without resistance, the more others expect it. Not because they are evil, but because humans adjust to what is consistently available. If you never say no, people stop seeing your yes as valuable. If you never protect your time or energy, why would anyone else? Being too nice often attracts people who take advantage of emotional generosity. Not necessarily in obvious ways. Sometimes it's subtle. They rely on you to handle the emotional work. They expect you to understand their moods. They assume you'll adjust. They rarely consider whether you are overwhelmed. And because you don't complain, they assume you're fine. Are you teaching people that your needs don't matter? Another hidden danger of being too nice is suppressed resentment. When you constantly silence your own frustration to maintain harmony, that frustration doesn't disappear. It accumulates. It builds quietly beneath the surface. And eventually, it either explodes unexpectedly or turns inward as self-criticism. You may start feeling unappreciated, taken for granted. But here's the uncomfortable truth. If you never express dissatisfaction, how can people know your limits? Are you blaming others for not reading boundaries you never communicated? Being too nice also weakens your sense of identity. When you constantly adapt to what others want, you lose clarity about what you actually prefer. Your opinions soften, your preferences blur. You become agreeable to avoid friction. Over time, you may not even recognize your authentic voice anymore. You become easy to be around, but hard to truly know. Who are you when you're not trying to please someone? There is also a psychological reward system involved. Being nice often brings validation. People praise you for being supportive, patient, selfless. That praise feels good. But when your identity becomes dependent on being the good person, you may fear setting boundaries because you worry it will change how people see you. You start performing niceness instead of living authenticity. Is your kindness a choice or your identity? Ironically, being too nice can reduce respect. Humans instinctively respect clarity and boundaries. When someone calmly says, "I'm not comfortable with that," it signals self-respect. But when someone tolerates everything, it signals flexibility without limits. And flexibility without limits can be mistaken for weakness. Respect grows where boundaries exist. Do people respect you or just rely on you? Being too nice also prevents real intimacy. Authentic relationships require honesty. If you constantly filter your true feelings to avoid discomfort, people connect with a curated version of you. They may like you, but they don't fully know you. And deep connection cannot grow without truth. Silence may protect harmony, but it often kills authenticity. Are you keeping peace at the cost of real connection? Another painful effect of excessive niceness is burnout. Emotional labor is exhausting when it is one-sided. Always being the understanding one, the forgiving one, the flexible one, it drains your nervous system. And because you are nice, you may feel guilty even admitting you're tired. But exhaustion does not make you selfish. It makes you human. How long can you pour from a cup you never refill? There is also fear underneath extreme niceness. Fear that if you show anger, people will leave. Fear that if you say no, you'll be rejected. Fear that conflict equals abandonment. So you avoid confrontation at all costs. But avoiding conflict does not prevent abandonment. Sometimes, it accelerates emotional distance because you are not showing up fully. True connection survives honesty. It does not survive constant self-erasure. The shift from being too nice to being balanced is uncomfortable. When you start saying no, people may react. When you stop over-explaining, some may feel confused. When you prioritize yourself, certain relationships may weaken. But this discomfort is not destruction. It is recalibration. You are not becoming rude. You are becoming defined. Kindness with boundaries is powerful. It says, I care about you, but I also care about myself. It says, I will help, but not at the cost of my well-being. It says, I respect you, and I expect respect in return. That kind of kindness builds healthier relationships. The goal is not to become cold. It is not to become harsh. It is to become whole. Because being too nice destroys you slowly, not dramatically, not loudly, but through small daily compromises that chip away at your authenticity. And maybe the most important realization is this: you can be compassionate without being compliant. You can be generous without being exploited. You can be kind without being invisible. So the next time you feel the urge to say yes when you mean no, pause. Ask yourself, am I being kind or am I being afraid? Because real strength is not in always keeping the peace. Sometimes real strength is in risking discomfort to protect your truth. Like, subscribe, and join our journey into timeless depth. Share your thoughts below.